This is Caitlin, your host of the NoSleep4Dramas podcast, where we get no sleep and survive on coffee to watch just one more episode at night. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the NoSleep4Dramas podcast. This is Caitlin, and I'm back this week with, I think people will appreciate this type of episode. I know you did the first time around when I made this list on one of my first episodes, and since that episode did so well, I think I am going to continue making these episodes, and hopefully you'll enjoy them as much as I like making them. And that is my favorite blank of all time. So one of the first episodes I ever released, I think when I announced this podcast, was my favorite Korean dramas of all time, and I made that list. It was the last one I think I released on the blog, and the first podcast episode, or one of the first podcast episode lists I released. So this week, as you can tell from the title, is going to be my list of favorite Japanese dramas of all time. Now, I made it a goal of mine last year, 2023, to make a list, to finally sit down and make a list of my favorite dramas from a particular Asian country from all the years I've ever watched dramas. And I kind of went the easiest to hardest, in my opinion, and the first one I made was Japanese dramas because I hadn't watched as many Japanese dramas as I had, let's say, Korean dramas, for example, which is why I saved it for last. So I made this list in June of 2023. So at the end of this podcast episode, after I discuss the list, I will be doing an honorable mentions to name some that I watched since June 15th that would have been a part of this list if I had written it now. But overall, as I looked over this list from June, I didn't really disagree with any that were on the list. And I also maybe realized I need to watch more Japanese dramas because I definitely don't have enough to make a list. Or at least have it be a hard time making this type of list. So if you guys are curious, from June to about, I think, January was the Korean list. I made a list for all-time favorite Japanese, Chinese, Korean, BL, Taiwanese, and Thai, my favorites of all time. If you guys want me to make a podcast episode for each of the lists, write in the comments, let me know, message me. I will for sure do that for you guys. Or you can go to my blog and search favorite and you'll find all the lists. But maybe I'll just make them all into podcast episodes as well. If you guys want any other lists, I do have other lists on my blog, such as favorite crime dramas or favorite romance Japanese dramas that you can go to the blog and search for. If you want to have me make more lists, or you want a particular list of a genre or something, you can also DM me and let me know what you want a list of, and I will for sure write that into a blog post and maybe a podcast episode as well. I love making recommendations. I know you guys like lists and want more recommendations, and I think these lists help out. Okay, so as I said, I made these lists. I discovered that there were some countries I had way more dramas to choose from and compare to, and it was a lot easier to make certain lists versus others. So I did have a couple caveats to these lists, which I wrote in the blog post. A couple ground rules is there was no particular order or genre when I made these lists. So I didn't rank them. I just put them in the list. So I didn't say this is my number one Japanese drama and this is 2 and this is 3. And I didn't say crime dramas or romance dramas. I just put my favorites into a list. I tried to keep it to only the dramas I watched and completed. So I didn't add anything that I dropped. I didn't add anything that I had heard of, but I didn't actually see myself. So if you don't see any of your favorites or hear, I guess, since I'm making a podcast episode now, if you don't hear any of your favorite Japanese dramas, it probably means I haven't seen them. So if you want me to watch them and do a review on them or something, let me know your favorites and I will check them out and I'll see if I like them. In certain lists, there are honorable mentions because I tried to keep it to 10 dramas at the most. And obviously, if I watched more, such as, for example, the Korean or Chinese drama lists, have honorable mentions because there's more than 10 that I love. So some of them have honorable mentions, some of them won't. Given the fact that I'm doing this podcast episode at least 6 to 8 months after I wrote this list, I will have an honorable mention, as I said at the end of this podcast episode, to talk about some of my favorite Japanese dramas or Japanese movies that I've watched since I have written this list. Again, if you don't see your favorites on the list, let me know your favorites. Maybe I'll watch them and then I'll let you know what I think. So, as I said, some countries were easier than others. Japanese dramas, I think, were the easiest ones for me to make this list because, again, I have only watched a small amount of Japanese dramas that covered a wide variety of genres, and I just knew which ones I loved and which ones I didn't. So, for some reason, it was a lot easier to make the Japanese dramas versus other countries. Um, as I said before, it also means I need to watch more Japanese dramas because since this list was so easy to make, it just means I have not watched enough. And everything on this list is also not everything I've seen. There are a few that I left off the list because they didn't compare to the ones that are on the list, or I didn't like them as much as other people might have. I also maybe have mentioned them in other lists that I made. So if you go to the blog post and if you go to my favorite Japanese dramas of all time blog post, you'll see a link to some of my other lists, like romance Japanese dramas or why I like Japanese dramas, and you can read about these too. But maybe I'll go into those lists and name a couple of my honorable mentions that I didn't name in this list to give you more options of what you might want to watch. We'll see how this goes. I'm kind of playing it by ear. I have many, many dramas I want to recommend. So, first, we'll go through the list of my favorite Japanese dramas of all time. So, the first one I watched, I think this was like one of the first ones I've ever watched in my life. It was on Drama Fever, RIP Drama Fever. You will be missed because I have not had access to this drama since Drama Fever went down. And that is The Perfect Insider. It was from 2014. And the reason why I loved this one so much is because it's a crazy crime drama. Like, it is an out there, crazy crime drama. It stars Ayano Go and Takai Emi. And it's about a professor, a guy named Professor Kita, who has a student, and they work together in his like research institute. And due to I want to say this was supposed to be like, this is definitely based off a book. And I want to say this was supposed to be a series, but from at my knowledge, they never made a second one. And a little caveat. So Japan in general, which is one of my favorite mystery, I guess, subgenres of Japan, Japan likes doing locked room mystery dramas where you have a murder that happens in a locked room and then people have to figure out what it is. Like, what happened? Who killed her? How did it happen? There are so many Japanese dramas with this subgenre that there's actually like a tag on my drama list that will give you like all the dramas that have to do with locked room mysteries. Like, they love they love a locked room mystery, and I do as well. They also really like Sherlock Holmes. So a lot of their detectives are either based off of Sherlock Holmes or they actually have Sherlock Holmes, which I also love Sherlock Holmes. So basically, this drama is about a professor and a student who go to a research facility that are running various experiments in low temperature research rooms or other environments. And then one night, I guess, when they are staying in this building, because if I remember correctly, it's on an island. I haven't watched this in a while because I haven't had access to it. Um, During the night, a murder takes place in a locked room. So these two people have to work together. This professor and student have to work together to solve this murder. And it has a crazy, crazy villain. Because I remember watching this and I kept saying out loud, like, what the hell is going on? Like, I, it's not the fact I couldn't follow what was going on. It was just like so out there and so not what I expected because it was crazy. I had a lot of fun with this. It's super unpredictable. The villain is very different and like just had quite the crazy concept. She was crazy. She was insane. I just remember watching this drama and I was like, wow, this is experimental. This is out there. And I was in it for the crazy ride. And I just couldn't look away. The other thing is the leads have such amazing chemistry, even though they're playing professor and graduate student. They have such a great chemistry. Like, you'll go to my blog post and you'll even see like the poster. It's basically them almost kissing, but they like never have a romance whatsoever. But their chemistry is so good, like chef kiss, so good. I really wish I could rewatch this because I would love to rewatch this and see if I love it as much as I do now. Because again, it's one of my first Japanese dramas I've ever watched in my life. But oh my god, I have fond memories of like the crazy ride this drama was. Okay, so my next one is Hey Sensei, Don't You Know? I want to say this one's on Viki. And this is one of my favorite romance dramas, Japanese dramas specifically. It stars Baba Fumika, and Akaso Eji. You might recognize the male lead from Cherry Magic, I want to say. I think he was the male lead in Cherry Magic. Was he? Am I remembering that wrong? You would recognize the male lead. I recognize the male lead, but where do I recognize him from? Yeah, Cherry Magic. Okay, I just had to double check. Anyway, so those are the two stars. Then you have Yahagi Honoka, you'll recognize her. She's a pretty famous Japanese actress. Wada Masanari. I apologize if I'm butchering any of these names. Okay, so Hey Sensei, Don't You Know? As I said, I'm a sucker for a good professional work drama. And this one is short. It's only 6 episodes. As I said, you can watch it on Viki. And I remember when this aired, I think it was before the pandemic. So it was like 2019 or so. 2018 or like really early on in 2020, but I want to say it was 2019. Basically, you have a woman who is a manga writer and she like dedicates herself 100% to her work, and she doesn't get out at all. Like she's one of the top romance writers in the country. You'd think that she had like a bunch of boyfriends. She's never had a boyfriend in her life. And she's just never leaves her house, is constantly working, just a homebody, basically. And one day she gets really mad at, I think, her boss or maybe her editor or somebody. And she decides to take a walk. and completely unaware of like what she looks like. And she's a homebody. She doesn't really care what she looks like. So she looks in a mirror, or no, it was a window. And she kind of is like, oh my God, I look horrible. And she decides to walk into a salon that she walks by. And she's immediately greeted by our male lead, who is the stylist in the salon. And so he starts giving her a haircut, washing her hair. It was very clear she hasn't left her house. And she seems to like him. And then he starts to fall in love with her just through this conversation and these interactions. So you get a relationship of like a workaholic trying to not become work obsessed in order to have a life with her boyfriend or this stylist guy, but also he kind of learns from her, and you have this aspect of a first love at the same time. They kind of support each other, and it's a very healthy relationship. Like, they support each other. He supports her in her work. She supports him in what he wants to do. He listens to her, and he doesn't like try to change her or doesn't try to change her career. And she's able to grow and gain confidence in her life, as well as not be such a workaholic and actually leave her house. So there's communication. There's not a lot of like conflict or obstacles. It's a very low stake romance drama. Basically, if you want something light and fluffy to watch, you should watch this. It's on Viki. And I think the reason why I liked it is because it was so low stake. Like, you still rooted for the couple. It wasn't slow moving. It's only 6 episodes. It's very short episodes. I think it's like 25 minutes or so. But it's so low stake, like, you don't have to worry about them like breaking up or anything. It's just a nice, fluffy watch. And I like that a lot. Okay, so the next one, which I just mentioned, of my all-time favorite Japanese dramas is Cherry Magic. It was 2020. No one is really surprised this is on my list. We all know how popular it was in 2020. It's another healthy relationship. Like, I loved watching the lead's relationship progress from beginning to end. It's a very heartwarming drama. You get a male lead who is very shy and is very not confident, and you get a male lead, the other male lead, who just kind of like, he doesn't wait, but he's like, he understands that the guy that he likes has low confidence, and he tries to support him in the best way possible by kind of letting the male lead learn, I guess, like learn from his mistakes. Like, he's supposed to communicate. Okay, let's communicate. Let's tell me how you feel. Tell me that you don't like something. Tell me this, tell me that. For some reason, if you guys don't know what Cherry Magic is, basically it stars, as I said, Akaiso Aichi. I want to say that's how you last name. And then Machida Keita. And then the second couple is Asaka Kodai and I want to say Utaro. Yeah. Okay, so basically, Akaso Aichi plays Adachi. He is a regular person going to an office job. On his 30th birthday, he wakes up and he acquires the ability to hear people's thoughts because he's still a virgin. So whenever he touches somebody, he can hear what they're thinking. And he also discovers that his friend has developed the same conflict because his friend also is a virgin and he also turned 30. So apparently when these guys turn 30, they can touch people and hear their thoughts. And then he accidentally, Adachi, touches his coworker, Kurosawa Yuchi, only to discover that Kurosawa likes him. And so now he has to try and navigate knowing this information, dealing with this information, and potentially starting a romantic relationship with this coworker that he just discovered likes him. So it was just sweet. It was really sweet. It kind of proved the point where you can't make assumptions about somebody, because he discovered through hearing this guy's thoughts, because the other guy is just really popular in the office. He's very outgoing. He seems very confident all the time. And Adachi's like, how does this guy like me? Like, I am introverted. I kind of keep to myself. I'm very nervous all the time. And through his inner thoughts of hearing this guy's thoughts, he discovers that the guy might seem confident on the outside, but he actually has the same kind of anxiety, or somewhat of the same. He has anxiety in general. Like, it just kind of teaches that you can't really judge a book by its cover. And this was one of my favorite dramas of 2020. I loved how both leads supported each other again, grew from the relationship, learned things about each other that they didn't know before. I remember like smiling through every episode because it was just so damn cute. It was heartwarming. And again, this was kind of like low stakes. There was a couple conflicts, if I remember, but the episodes are so short. Like, you get to the next episode and it's concluded. The second couple is cute as well, but I actually like the first couple more, just because they are the lead couple. I think the story kind of navigated towards them. I still have not watched the anime of this, and I kind of want to, because I like the live action so much. I have read the manga though. Okay, so my next drama on my all-time favorites list is Old Fashioned Cupcake. This is also a BL drama. It's from 2022. This is just a comfort watch. I mean, it's super easy. One, if you like food, you need to watch this drama. Um, it's only 5 episodes. It's like 25, 30 minutes long. It's another office drama, which is a trope of mine that I love. And again, it's a super easy watch. Like, it's about a guy who's almost 40. I think his name is Nozue. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. It stars Takeda Kohai and Kimura Tatsunari. They're the two leads. So Takeda plays Nozue. So he basically is an almost 40 guy. He goes to work, comes home, sleeps, goes to work, comes home, sleeps. He like doesn't do anything else. He's very like routine. And he's turning almost 40, and he's like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I feel like I'm boring. And then he meets Tagawa, who's his 29-year-old subordinate of his. And they unexpectedly start visiting restaurants and hanging out together. And I think one of the reasons why I love this so much is you have a younger guy and a older man relationship. You also get, like, if you're a foodie, you'll love this drama, because you get to see all the delicious food they eat all the time. They have a very comfortable chemistry, where the younger guy kind of pulls the older guy out of his routine, introduces him to new things. The older guy discovers things that he has never tried or never knew he liked before. It kind of gets him out of his comfort zone and out of his routine. I wish this drama was longer, because I enjoyed it so much. It's just way too short. And the acting was great. I thought they had a really, as I said, I thought they had a really comfortable chemistry. They worked together. Like, it wasn't awkward, even though it was like, in story-wise, it was like a 10-year age gap in terms of story. It wasn't awkward. It was like, the younger guy really wanted this guy to get out of his routine and wanted him to enjoy life. It's all about like enjoying life and not just working, you know? It's like, I guess like the message I took from it is like enjoy the little things. Like go to get an extra coffee or go after work and eat a dessert or order that dessert after dinner. You know, it's like it's that sort of thing. And these two bonded over going to these restaurants that were popular on social media and taking pictures of their food. I love doing that personally myself. So it's like I could relate a lot to these characters just because I liked doing what they were doing after work anyway. I'm also a sucker for romance or office romances, so this was also made for me. I think you can watch that on Viki. I want to say I think that was Viki. Okay, so to change complete genres, my next Japanese drama favorite of all time is the Japanese drama Erased. It was from 2017. This I also really want to watch the anime. I've heard the anime is just as good as the drama, and I was blown away by the drama because I don't think I'd heard of it before, and if I had, I've forgotten I had. So this stars one of my favorite Japanese actors, Furukawa Yuki. It also stars Uchikawa Ryo, Kuretani Tomoka, Tatsugi Shigeyuki, and Yuki Mio. Sorry if I mispronounce those names. Furukawa Yuki plays Fujinuma Satoru, and he's a manga artist who has the ability to travel back in time during moments that before a life-threatening incident. So for example, in the first episode, he gets hit by a truck while riding his bike, if I remember correctly, and he was able to go back in time and prevent that from happening. Either that or he like saw somebody get hit by a truck. One of the two. He like was able to take back time and like prevent the truck from hitting whoever the truck hit. I can't remember. I watched this a couple years ago. I want to rewatch it actually because I want to watch the anime. Anyway, so he has this ability to travel back in time moments before a life-threatening incident so then he can prevent that from happening. And he discovers one day that his mother is murdered by an unknown assailant. And when he tries to go back in time to change it, to stop it from happening, he actually gets sent back 18 years to when he was in elementary school. Which, when he was in elementary school, a kidnapping incident happened where he and 3 of his childhood friends were involved. And I think 3 people died, 4 people died, something like that. A lot of people died. So he got sent back to hopefully prevent that from happening. And again, when I clicked play on this, I had never read the anime or never read the manga, hadn't watched the anime. I really only knew what was happening from the trailer, so I didn't really know what to expect. And because this drama made me want to watch the anime or read the manga, just tells you how much I love this drama. Like, it blew me away. Like, the twists and turns of this crime drama. It's on Netflix. It kept me on the edge of the seat. I didn't know what was going on. It was very unpredictable. Beautiful cinematography. Like, some of the best cinematography I've seen. Like, some of these scenes were very eye-catching. I will say, though, because it's a murder drama, it is very dark. Like, you have to deal with murder, obviously, child abuse, children murder. Like, it's trigger warning for all those things because it's very dark subject matter. And due to the twists that happen, that makes it a lot darker than what a normal like serial killer drama would be. Like, there's some heart-wrenching storylines and heart-wrenching scenes in this drama, but it's beautifully done. Like, I will always recommend this crime Japanese drama. It's so good. So good. And I really want to watch the anime. But yeah, trigger warning because it's very dark. Like, you just look at the poster though, and you'll just see, if you look at the poster, it has a theme of like red and blue or red and white. If you look at other posters, the red really stands out. And that kind of just gives you insight to the cinematography because red plays a really, really prominent role in this drama. And they do things with the cinematography that I have not seen in a Japanese drama or in a drama in general. It's just beautiful. It's really unique in terms of cinematography, and it's very unpredictable, phenomenally acted. Like, I can't speak more highly of this crime drama, but people should watch it. Okay, so another Japanese drama that is my favorite of all time, at least according to my list, is the Japanese drama from 2020 called Followers. And two things stood out for me with this, and that is the cinematography and the lighting. So this is a ensemble cast drama. It stars Nakatani Miki, Ikaida Eliza, Natsuki Mari, Itaya Yuka, Kaneko Nobuoyaki, and a lot more others. If you go to my blog post, you'll get links to all these on my drama list, so you can go and look at the cast. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing a lot of these names. So this is basically about a character called Nara Rimi, who is a popular photographer, and she meets Momota Natsume, who just moved to Tokyo to become an actress. And even though, so it's basically like their relationship. This woman is fairly young, trying to make it as an actress. She goes through ups and downs of trying to enter the entertainment industry, and then makes friends with this ensembled cast of characters, from photography to fashion to other movie sets to bloggers to social media influencers, like kind of the lifestyles of women who are in this world primarily. And because it's called Followers, it's all about social media. So that's really where this is going. And then you have, it's like a slice of life, it's a romance drama, there's multiple couples, it follows multiple ensemble characters within this drama. What stood out to me though was the lighting and the colors and the cinematography colors, because this drama is very colorful. I think part of it is because it's based off of social media. So like they needed these extravagant colors and extravagant sets as a backdrop to social media. And it's fun seeing the lighting. Like, what I loved about the lighting is that it reflected what the particular character in the scene was feeling at the moment, or even they had themes of light for whatever character. So one character might be purple and one character might be green. So if they're in a scene together, the light might do things or interact with each other's color. And then the personalities were also memorable because they matched the color that they were. So if the character had a loud personality, they had a bright color. And just the storytelling told with lights and cinematography matching the relationships and the message and the characters in this drama, it was so beautifully done because it had some really beautiful relationships, and it also had some great messages that the audience could get from the drama. I thought it was phenomenally acted, and then you as an audience, due to it being in the social media age, can relate to these characters because you connect to them and you connect to the story and you connect to the hardships these various characters are faced with in their own lives, but also within their relationships as well. It's a very relatable drama, um, done in a way that only Japan can do it, in my opinion. So that's one of my favorites. Okay, so we have a few more on this list. This next one, I think I like it so much because it has some of my favorite themes to watch, drama-filled themes. It's called Fishbowl Wives. It's on Netflix as well. It has a lot of cheating and it has domestic violence, so trigger warning if those are not your thing. The trailer just I remember the trailer just promising chaos. And in some way it delivered, in other ways it didn't. It depended on the story. And again, this is an ensemble cast. It's about an apartment complex that you have various couples in, and then you get stories and episodes based on those couples. So there's one couple, one woman in particular, that is the overarching story, and then there's couples within her apartment building that have their own episodes. And I thought that was very well structured because you got little pockets of story, but then everybody is related to this one woman's main story in some way or another. And I liked how that unfolded. So this stars, again, it's an ensemble cast. So some of the people that starred in it are Shinohara Ryoku, Iwata Takanori, Ando Masanobu, Hasegawa Kayoko, and Minemura Rei. Okay, so the main woman, she plays a woman called Sakura Hiragawa. She got into an accident, and if I remember correctly, it's something to do with her hands, but I can't remember what. She basically had to change careers. She gave up on a dream that she had, and she had to change careers due to this injury. She got married, and her husband runs a hair salon, and they live in this luxurious apartment complex. Due to the status of her and her husband and the perfect image that her husband and her portray in this apartment complex, everybody's jealous of them. What people don't know is that the main woman, Sakura, is very much abused physically and verbally by her husband, and she feels trapped. She wants to get away. And she ends up meeting a man who own a pet store, I think. Specifically, she wants to buy a goldfish from him. And they start a relationship. So that's the core of her story. And then within these apartment complex couples and stories, you get a short glimpse into these other couples' lives and how they interact and what their background in is, why they're in this apartment building, and what they do to interact with this main woman. So when I watched this, I thought it was just going to be about the main couple and her story of escaping this abusive marriage and meeting this younger guy and finding happiness where she could. But it had a lot more depth than what I thought it would be. I loved how it explored not only the main couple's story, and when I say main couple, like the fishbowl guy and this wife, but also the other residents. Some of the other stories were beautifully told and heartwarming, and some were absolutely heartbreaking, and I cried my eyes out. um, and I liked also that because you were being introduced to these people in this apartment complex, you didn't really know where their story was going. Like, you couldn't predict some of these stories and where they might end up, because when the episode would start, you would get one idea and you're like, oh, okay, this is what the story is. And then by the end, you realize what the story actually is supposed to be telling you and what the outcome of that story is. So it was an interesting structure to a drama, and I really appreciated how different it was. Also, the cinematography and colors in this drama, as I said with Followers, is beautiful. Like, they have some beautiful scenes in the fishbowl store, in the pet store, that I just love to look at. I mean, the posters are really unique as well. So it's beautiful to watch too. But again, trigger warning for cheating and domestic violence. It was kind of hard to watch, specifically with her husband, but she's not the only couple that had domestic violence. You'll find other couples in the drama that also have domestic violence. So if that isn't your thing, I would not recommend this. Okay, so another one, which I have not watched season 2 to this day. So this is only based on season 1, and that is Alice in Borderland season 1. This came out in 2020. It's a Netflix drama. I really need to watch season 2. It's been on my list to watch and I just haven't gotten around to it. This drama's intense. Like it grabs a hold of you and does not let go. Like you have no idea where this is going. It's high intensity, it's high stakes. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, so some of the stars that are in it are Yamakaze Kento, Tsuchiya. Oh, sorry, I mispronounced that. Tsuchiya Tao. I'm butchering that name. I'm so sorry. Murakami Najiro, Morinaga Yuki, Machido Kaita, Mayoshi Ayaka. I'm sorry, I mispronounced a lot of those games. Okay, this is a hot take, but in my opinion, Alice in Borderland is better than Squid Game. It also existed prior to Squid Game. At least the manga did. It is based off a manga. But I like Alice in Borderland better than Squid Game, and I'm just gonna say that. So the main guy, his name is Arasu. He is a jobless video game obsessed guy. He one day finds himself in a very empty version of Tokyo, which if you've ever been to Tokyo, that never happens. There's people everywhere. So it was kind of eerie when he all of a sudden found himself alone in the middle of Tokyo. He discovers that he and a couple people with him have to compete in these very dangerous games in order to survive. And there's various games, like they'll play a game, they'll win or lose, and then they'll be okay for a while, and then another game starts. But they never know when these games start, who's running these games, what the point of these games are. Then he and his friends meet other people who also were dragged into this game. He particularly meets a woman called Usagi, who is also navigating this game. And they basically work together eventually to figure out what's going on, survive the game, try to get out of the game. So there's 2 seasons of this, and I know season 3 was confirmed. I think season 2 aired in 2022, and I think they confirmed season 3 last year. So I want to say season 3's rumored for this year, but I could be wrong. So I need to watch season 2. Anyway, it's intense. It grabs a hold of you. It does not let go, like, at all. Trigger warning for gore and violence. It does not hide anything. Like, you see everything, and it's very gory, very violent. Think Squid Game. Like, really. It's honestly probably more gory and violent than Squid Game, in my opinion. I loved every minute of this. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. The CGI is incredible. This is one of these dramas where you try not to become attached to anybody because you don't know who's dead in like 5 minutes later. But I became attached, and then I had to watch some of my favorite people die. I love the character progression through this drama because, like, as I said, Arisu is a guy who kind of is dropped in the middle of like this dangerous game and doesn't even know, like, can't even handle himself and surviving himself. And he tries to survive these games where he might have to pick up a weapon that he's never touched before in his life, whereas other people are like highly skilled in certain weaponry. Like, it just depends on the character. So it was fun seeing his progression through the drama, but also seeing other characters' progression through the drama, their relationships being formed, alliances being formed, betrayals happening. I loved learning what the drama did great was you also learned about some character backstories and how they were before they entered the game and then what they did when they were in the game. It also, you'll find this online due to the manga being very popular. There's all these theories of, as you can see, the title is Alice in Borderland. If you know anything about novels or anything, you obviously have heard of Alice in Wonderland. There are different clues within the entire drama with names, with setting, with lines, with things. It's all tied back to Alice in Wonderland in various forms. So that was kind of fun trying to figure that out and then reading up on that lore. It's very, very good. And if you like Squid Game, highly recommend this one. I loved it more than Squid Game, so that's saying something. All right, so I have 2 more on this list on this blog post, and then I'll go to other blog posts and my honorable mentions. Another one that I love is called Shanai Marriage Honey. If you are a fan of contract marriage tropes, I highly recommend this one. This is from 2020. It stars Itagaki Mizuki and Matsui Airi. And basically, Matsui Airi plays Ami, and she is a woman who's struggling to get over her ex. And she basically decides she's going to get into a new relationship to get over her ex. And then you have Itagaki Mizuki, who plays Miura. Miura is a office worker who discovers that his mother is suffering from ill health, and he believes that if he gets married, it will cheer her up, make her better, help with recovering. And the problem is, though, he doesn't have a girlfriend. He's nowhere near marriage at all. So these two people basically end up on a dating app or meeting online somehow and hastily decide to get married. Basically saying, I need to marry somebody. Okay, I do too. Let's get married. Little did they know they're actually coworkers, which they didn't know until after the fact. So they have to not only navigate a new marriage and a new relationship, they also have to navigate being coworkers and kind of trying to hide this from their coworkers. And it's adorable. It's a fluffy, easy watch romance drama. The leads have great chemistry. It again is one of those romance dramas that are very low angst and conflict. There's no big misunderstandings. They have great chemistry. You get some kissing, you get some skinship. It's a good romance drama. And the fact that I don't I will say Japanese dramas, I think, are one of my favorite romance dramas. I claim I don't like romance dramas, and yet I have plenty of romance dramas from every country that I love. But Japan definitely is one of my top romance dramas, so if you have never seen a Japanese romance drama, you should check out some of the ones that are on my list. I loved it. It makes me smile. I think this one's on Viki. Very, very easy watch, very short to watch. I think it's only like 8 or 7 episodes. Again, 25-30 minutes, something like that. Okay, so the last one on this first list is called Love is Phantom. It's from 2021. It's also on Viki. It stars Kiriyama Ren and Konishi Sakurako. It also stars Sato Megumi, Kabuta Yuki, Hosoda Kanata, and Matsumoto how do you pronounce that last name? Wakana. We'll go with that. So this is another romance office drama, but it's not office. It's like work. It takes place in the hotel. So basically, Konishi Sakurako plays Momoko, and Kiriyama Ren plays Kai. And Momoko is a cafe clerk at this hotel, and she meets this guy on the roof of this hotel, and they immediately just start kissing and have great chemistry. And then she learns that the guy that she was kissing is the hotelier of this hotel that she works at. And every person in this drama, in this hotel, wants to be him and wants to be friends with him and wants to date him. Like everybody does. Um it's very fast paced. Like they get together immediately. Like it's cohabitation, it's rich male lead, it's all those tropes you love. It's I will say, this drama could be a hit or miss for people. I was hooked personally. I remember it surprised me a lot because there's a lot of kissing. But the fact is the romance moves really quickly. like really quickly. So you're like going from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds flat. Which surprised me a lot. um, like this couple can't keep their hands off each other all the time. But I love them together. I love how their relationship progresses. I love how the female lead is like so perceptive and like basically like looks at the male lead and is like, something's wrong. Tell me what it is. How are you feeling? And like she's just very perceptive. And that allows the male lead to open up to like express his emotions more, to express his thoughts more, because he's very reserved and very quiet. And just through their relationship, he learns to express himself more. And I liked it. It was different too, because again, as I said, the romance is very fast moving. That was just something I was not used to. Um, and again, it's quick. So it's one of those Japanese dramas where I I was surprised by it because I'm like, oh, okay, this is where we're going. All right. And then it was adorable. They had cohabitation. They lived together. He clearly cares for her. He just is somewhat slower in expressing it, where she's the more outgoing of the two. Classic matchup in Japanese dramas, I will say. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my other two blog posts to see if I want to name any other ones that I missed. Okay, so I am now looking at my romance J dramas I would recommend, which I wrote this back in 2022, so this might be a little outdated, but still some of my favorites. So I'll mention some of these as well, and then we'll go into my honorable mentions that I watched after June of 2023 when I wrote this. So we have My Little Lover. It was one of my first Japanese dramas I ever watched. It stars Nakagawa Taishi and Yamamoto Marika. Micah, I think. So they were childhood friends, also first loves. They drifted apart, right? Didn't really see each other. One stormy night, the female lead has an argument with her parents and storms out of the house. It's raining, so she wishes that she could, due to this argument everywhere, she wishes that she could go back to her childhood and relive her childhood and meet up with her first love again, meet up with this friend that they kind of drifted apart from. She becomes like really tiny, like 15, 20 centimeters tall, like really, really tiny. And the male lead finds her and he takes her home. And so it's about him keeping her a secret while her family like looks for her. And he has to like figure out how to make her big again, and they also start falling in love together. It was cute. It's cute. It's different. It's one of my first Japanese dramas I've watched. I think I watched this on Netflix. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore. It was short. It was sweet. It was kind of like a nostalgic in a way because it was like return to your childhood, return to high school. I liked their chemistry. There were some really wacky parts of it too, though, which I'll say. It was interesting. It was fun. Okay, so the other one that I named is called His. It has a longer name, but I just say His. It's a BL drama. I want to say this one's on Viki. When I watched it, it was on YouTube, but I want to say it's on Viki now. It stars Kasuwaka Naoa and Kurayuki. Again, if you go to this blog post, the romance Japanese dramas I recommend, you'll get links to everything. Basically, Kurayuki plays a guy in high school, and he lives alone in this seaside town. He loves to surf, and he works at this hostel on this seaside town. And then the other male lead, played by Kusagawa Naoa, his name is Shun. He visits this seaside town for spring break, and they kind of meet and develop a relationship that's more than a friendship. And then they have relationships with the other people in this town through this spring break, summer break, and they kind of just get to know each other. And it's very, like, what I loved is because surfing is a big theme in this drama, it was beautifully done in terms of setting, beautifully seaside town setting. It's near the ocean. It has a more like relaxed feel because it's by this seaside town. You have to be a little more relaxed. Of course, if you're a surfer, you have to be a little more relaxed when you're a surfer. It just had a very different vibe than any of the other romance dramas I've watched. Because especially with Japanese dramas, a lot of the romance dramas you see are in like Tokyo. So like it's always hustle and bustle workplace stuff, and this one just was very different. And then because it took on a place at like the beach and seaside town, it was very pretty to look at. The setting was great, like natural landscape, nature, surfing scenes. Like it was very, I liked how different it was. And then the relationship, the two boys, they had a really nice, comfortable relationship. That was fun to watch, and it was just an easygoing romance drama. And again, it's BL, so that was one that I liked a lot. Okay, let's look at why I like Jdramas and see if I wrote down any that I didn't mention in already, and then I'll talk about. Okay, so here's one that I didn't mention, and it's called Million Yen Women. I watched this on Netflix. I want to say it's still on Netflix. It's from 2017. It's a crime drama. The reason why I love this one so much is because it's weird. It's good weird. It's just like you can't predict it, and it's very weird. And it has a lot of tropes in it that I love, such as cohabitation. It's different. It's out there. It stars Yojiro Matsui Rena, Fukushima Rila, Takaida Rena, Ariki Yuko, and others. It's an ensemble drama. So this is like, as I said, this is ensemble drama. So you have a bunch of people living in the same house, and it's a crime drama. And basically, Noda Yujiro plays Michimi Shin, who is a novelist and who lives alone in this like huge house. And his character is the son of a convicted murderer who killed 3 people, including his mother. And then one day, these 5 women just show up and say that they received an invitation to live in this house with him, and they'll pay 1 million yen a month for rent. And they set up these rules such as like, you can't go into my room, you can't ask any questions. And so they live together for like 6 months, and then something happens. And as you can see, it's like a murder mystery basically, and they have to figure out like who got murdered and why and who did it. And it just was like, it blew my mind because I was like, I can't predict this. It's so weird, but it's so good. Like, I couldn't stop watching it. I think I binged this one. It was great. Um, and it was just so interesting because you learned more about his character while learning about the 5 women, and you become connected with them. It also, like, makes you feel all these emotions. It's like I think it's one of those dramas where you either love it or you find it really weird and you might not like it. I think everybody, though, should give it a try because it's out there and it's weird, but it's good. Like, the characters make the story and they're very well developed. And again, these episodes are only like 30 minutes long. They're not that long. It's a short drama. It's just it's because it's a crime drama, though. It's dark and it's moody and it does have nudity in it. Like, there's a if that's not your thing, don't watch this. But it's just I cannot recommend this drama enough. It's so unexpected and so satisfying, and the cliffhangers are so good. Like, I'm trying not to give anything away because if I do, that will spoil it for everybody. But if you love crime dramas, you have to watch this drama because it's so good and so unpredictable and so out there that I don't even like I can't really talk about a lot of it because you need to watch it for yourself. Okay, so I think that's about all I have for my lists. Maybe I'm missing one, but I think that's good for now. But I want to name a couple that I have watched since I wrote this blog post, which was June of 2023. So the first one is actually a Japanese movie, which I wrote a review of this on my blog. It's Godzilla Minus One. I'm sure you guys have heard about this Japanese movie. It was nominated for an Oscar. Like, I'm not the biggest, like, I'm not a diehard Godzilla fan. Like, I'm not a diehard Monsterverse fan in general. But I heard so many good things about this movie. I had to go see it in theaters. It was so worth it. Like, it was beautifully done. The characters, like, you actually cared about the characters. Like, my problem with Godzilla movies recently was the fact that you liked the monsters and you liked seeing the monsters and you liked seeing their story, but you couldn't really connect with the humans at all. This one made you connect with the humans. It also returned the origin of Godzilla to it being a monster. It wasn't like the monster was trying to be a superhero. Like, you were actually terrified of this version of Godzilla. And it takes place right after World War II. Japan's trying to rebuild itself, and then Godzilla comes in. And if you don't know anything about Godzilla, Godzilla was pretty much created as a metaphor for the nuclear bombings, the atomic bombings in World War II. This kind of proves why. Like, this Godzilla was devastating in Godzilla Minus One, and it's a beautifully done drama, not drama, but movie. It's a beautifully done movie. The music is fantastic. Acting is phenomenal. Like, I hope they release more of these movies because I want to watch all of them. Another drama I watched after June was a drama called Don't Call It Mystery. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Don't Call It Mystery. And this was a drama that I should have watched sooner. I mean, remember when I said really early on Japan loves Sherlock Holmes? This is a Sherlock Holmes type drama. So basically, it's about a guy. It's on Viki. It stars Suda Masaki, Ito Sairi, Ono Matsuwa, along with others. And Suda Masaki plays Totono. Totono is a university student. He's very smart. He's very weird. Like, he's weird in a lovable way. He's like, has very good memory, very good observational skills. He has crazy curly hair. he doesn't have any friends, doesn't have any girlfriends. He like very skilled at drawing conclusions with a set of facts that are laid out in front of him. He can't help himself if some facts are laid out in front of him. So he'll be having a conversation and somebody says something and you're like, oh, so you did this, or you must have felt this way or something. And he can't really help himself with that. So that kind of creates trouble. So when he finds something he can't solve, when he sees something that doesn't make sense, he has to figure out why. That is where the curiosity comes into play. It's not necessarily he's curious. He just needs to find a solution to a problem because he's not satisfied until he finds that solution. So you have a series of problems or mysteries that he encounters that he needs to solve. So he becomes a frequenter of coming across these murders or crime scenes or problems, and then becoming, I wouldn't say friends with the cops, but because the cops obviously show up, he develops relationships with these cops. And the drama itself opens up to a murder case that happens near his house, and he actually becomes a suspect before, like, not really, like, before helping solve it, basically. So it's based off a manga. I actually want to read the manga. But if you are a fan of Sherlock Holmes, if you're a fan of mystery, if you're a fan of any of those types of crime dramas, I would highly recommend this one. It was a lot of fun. It was cute. I wouldn't say cute. It was quirky. But it was cute because it was quirky, I guess, is the right way to say it. Like, I loved the male lead in this because he was just so quirky and so it was funny. He made it funny because he couldn't help himself, like asking a question or trying to figure out a problem when not a lot of other people wanted him to do that. So, yeah, that's pretty much my list. You can find every drama that I mentioned on my blog. Specifically, you can find it on my favorite Jdramas of all time, and then I have 2 other blog posts linked in that blog. So if you don't see one I mentioned, it's probably in those other 2. Again, this kind of just proves that I need to watch more Japanese dramas because I feel like I haven't watched enough, especially crime ones, but just in general, I feel like I haven't watched a lot, and I want to attempt to do these lists again further down the road when I have watched more dramas, and hopefully it will be harder to make these lists because I've watched more, but we'll have to see. If you want me to make a podcast episode of all the other lists that I wrote, let me know because I will totally do that. That is an option. Or if you want me to make a list of something else that you want, that let's say you've been looking for recommendations of cohabitation dramas, let me know. I can totally do a podcast episode on that. Just DM me in my social media accounts or write a comment under the blog post, or not blog post, or you could, I guess, on the blog post. Podcast episode in Spotify, whatever you want to do. But thank you for listening to another episode of No Sleep for Dramas Podcast. If you want to continue the conversations about dramas that were started in this episode, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter under the username NoSleep4Dramas. That is no sleep, the number 4 dramas, just like in the title of the podcast. This podcast is also an expansion of my blog, so you can visit my blog at www.NoSleep4Dramas.com, the number 4 dramas.com, and find multiple years of blog posts already available at your fingertips. All links are in the description of this episode. This has been an episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, and I am your host, Caitlin. I will see you here next time, and I hope you get no sleep chasing the next episode just like me. Good night.